Dr. Mohamed. AI lets AI it out, and I thought we are constantly knocking ChatGPT. So let's compare ChatGPT with Grok today and define what Grok is, but I appreciate you coming by.
Yeah, so I didn't have much experience with Grok from a chat perspective, but from a coding perspective, because I'm using GitHub Copilot, which allows me to try different AIs in one interface. And this last 3 weeks or this last month, they added Grok and I started to use it. And I'm getting some very good results. It seems to have a more deeper understanding of logic and code. And also it appears to me that it has a better attention on when you tell it a problem, it analyzes it quite deeply. So that was my first surprise and a positive surprise using Grok over the last few weeks.
And that's an interesting surprise in so many ways with Grok. And I like Grok because of the voice is a little bit more human, even though ChatGPT's improved. And Grok is able to have conversations and remember an entire conversation and go deeper. It's got hits and misses, but I feel that Grok has a little bit more, it varies. Mileage will vary, but it can answer questions really well. It's a great conversation starter. I've seen some great things out of it and it stopped. So this is where I see Grok is that the research has come, it works pretty good, and then it stops. Yeah. So you said it uses code well, but you're choosing multiple things. But when we're just delving into writing copy or different things, the jury's still out. So Grok is created by X, and if you want to get the premium version, you have to go get verified on X. Once you're verified on X, then which you pay for, it's a premium version. And I think that if I was rating Grok, in my opinion, my favorite thing would be the fact that if you're in one conversation, it's unlimited. It doesn't stop. You could have a conversation with it, back and forth in conversational AI, and it will remember the entire conversation. ChatGPT won't at times. It will forget what the last prompt was, but it can't remember across chats, and it does hallucinate a lot. So you really have to ask questions, check at different things. It always wants to check real time with X, but your prompts have to be good because it changes in so many ways. That's my take so far on Grok.
So from your perspective, do you think Grok is still like in a challenger position right now compared to OpenAI? Or do you think
Here's my take. ChatGPT is really screwing up in the fact that I think we're back to 2 years ago. I think that it's all about the prompt. I think at one point it was running itself and it remembered a lot of things, and it's probably the GPUs and all these different things. Your prompt engineering has to be huge. Your knowledge base has to be huge, and you have to be willing to check multiple different large language models. And looking at the large language model of Grok, I was a huge proponent of it. Now I think it sucks in a little bit, then it gets better again. And it depends on the day. It's inconsistent. And I was just trying to do voice with Claude on my phone, and I thought it was terrible. You got to push a button. That's not very user-friendly. You got to record yourself and talk, and then you push a button so it can read it. It's not a real-time back and forth conversation using Claude. Claude writes great copy. It's faster. ChatGPT is slow, but we're going into Grok right now today on this podcast. And I haven't really tested Grok on specifically enough. Let me see if I'm logged into Grok right now under my platform. I'm checking to see I'm logged in. Yeah, that's great. And it does do voice on the specific things, but let me test it out writing copy and see what it does. So I'm going to skip while we're talking. So your thoughts, you're only doing code. So Dr. Mohamed, what is your day-to-day operations like? Tell me with AI. What do you spend most of your time doing?
Yeah, I do, let's say 60% it's about code because I have to run automations and we have a software and we need to improve it. And then I have 40% which is researching about various subjects to create training material or to just increase my knowledge. That's a little bit the most of my use of AI.
All right. I just asked it to write detailed podcast show notes, and we're going to see if it does well on its show notes and how accurate it is. It's already writing, so it's faster than ChatGPT. It's talking about the key additions. It's looking at specific things, and it's writing detailed podcast show notes in a way with not time because it doesn't know the way I want it, but it's almost done. So Grok is faster than ChatGPT. And so that's the biggest thing. If you're comparing these platforms and then seeing if they write and how many errors are in their writing, do you think everyone's pretty much caught up in the way that they're not making errors in writing as much anymore? Maybe some hallucinations. But do you think all the platforms are pretty much the same, like that they don't make huge errors like they did before?
Yeah, I think there was a huge improvement at that level. Yes.
What percentage? So still tons of people using ChatGPT.
Yeah, I think so. I think, like you said, sometimes these large language model providers, they may have a better model, but then they don't build an interface that is as conductive and as user friendly as it should be. Like you said, Claude, the fact that you have to press the button and record, they lose the crowd. Maybe it could have been a better experience. So it has its impact. The interfaces that we have to access our AI models, they also impact, I think, the perception of the performance of the AI model.
Yeah, totally. And so that's the thing. So they wrote it. Is it done? I guess it is. Episode teasers. It's asking, think harder, and it puts summer coolers, and it says think hard. So it has it done. So I would say pretty good show notes for not giving a model. So it's as good as anything else. I'm going to make sure I delete it now because it was not on my Grok as a client. So it's done. It's out. So it's deleted for Super Grok. I got to see if I can get back and get into my Grok. I have to get all these things set up. This is what Saturdays are for. So,
yes.
All right, let's go back to, you talked about anything else. Your day-to-day operations is basically code. Is that your...
Yes.
Do you do any research or is it more code?
No, I do research. I do a lot of research about technology stacks. If I want to build this kind of software, what's the best programming language? What is the best database model? What is the best way of formatting the data? Because we are a software company, so that takes me a lot of time. And that's what I do almost on a daily basis.
So explain a stack. How are you researching a stack?
So for example, I say we want to create a vectorial database. How do we host it? Do we take a Linux server? Which version of Linux is the best? And then I give my context. I say that I want it to be open source, cost efficient, and hosted in the United States. And then he will give me different providers, different softwares, and the pros and cons, and then I compare them. And I'm able to find the best technology stack that I need for that app. It can even research the provider. It will tell you this hosting company has these benefits and this one has these prices. So I use it also in competition, price research, price comparison. I ask it to go and compare the prices and the allocations that every hosting gives, so that I can compare apples with apples in terms of pricing. And it's very good at that.
That's key, right?
Yeah, it's amazing. The other thing that I used a lot without realizing is like our brains, they never stop thinking about business ideas. So now every time I have a business idea, instead of having the business idea staying in my mind and occupying my memory, I throw it to the AI model to see if it's even viable or not, what kind of income, what kind of down things could happen. And then I just save that discussion with the AI and I put it aside until the day that maybe that idea could come to fruit. So I use it a lot to test my ideas and either settle them or leverage them immediately, if they make sense.
Yeah. All right. Latest thing you talked about is now ChatGPT's open source. Explain that.
Yeah, no, it's not open source, but they released an open source model that you can download. So I have it on my computer. It's called GPT-OSS. They say that it's the equivalent of ChatGPT 4 Mini. And now they release it for free. So I install it with a tool called Ollama. And I use it a lot. I actually use it sometimes half the time compared to ChatGPT paid. I use the local ChatGPT because sometimes I have some conversations or some intellectual property. I don't want to divulge whatever code we're doing or whatever ID. So I do it on that local LLM and it's from ChatGPT. So they promised this a couple of years back and they just released it last month. And it's very good. They came all the way from nothing into a very good open source model that they released to the market.
So here's the take on the open source model. Would you recommend to everyone go open source, or do they need a lot? You need a lot of bandwidth to do open source.
You need a big graphic card. So if you have a big graphic card, like if you already have a gaming PC, chances are that you can easily run those models locally. But
how many gigs do you need to run locally?
You need at least 12 gigs of VRAM, of GPU. So if you have 12 gigs of GPU RAM, you will run some interesting models. So ChatGPT OSS, you need a bigger card. You need a 24 gig VRAM. So you need a 4090 RTX or 3090.
So do you go to OpenAI to get it?
No, they released it as a file. You can go to ollama.com. Yeah, you can go to OpenAI and download it, but then you need like an operating system to use that local LLM. The one that I use that is easy to use is called llama.com. It's a software, you download it, and then it allows you to download different AI models to your computer.
So what else is new in AI right now?
In that world of local LLMs, that I'm very much involved in, the Chinese models are coming very hard. There is this model called Qwen, and it's working amazing, Qwen Coder 3. So it codes very well, and it's free, and it's open source on your machine. So the Chinese companies have been pushing these free local LLM, I think, much more than the American AI companies.
Is that because they know it's all going to be integrated to everything, and at one point it's not going to be a good business? Or what's their thoughts?
I think it's part of a marketing strategy, and that's why also AI released that LLM. If you give a freebie or if you give something that people take confidence in it, your brand is still there in that world of downloaded LLMs. So I think there is a branding aspect and a marketing aspect going there because it's so much value for free. So they have to gain something out of it. And I think that's what they're looking at, branding, positioning, or they're trying to dump the market, release a very good free model to kill the competition so that the only premium model is this or that.
All right. It's quite interesting stuff that's happening, bro, in AI. So what you would say for me to get, if I was going to start coding, which one would I use? GitHub, Cursor, because I hear that's what Cursor, GitHub, or Anthropic.
Yes. So I think Cursor and GitHub Copilot are the similar tools. They allow you to use other AI models to develop your code. So if you feel comfortable with Cursor is very powerful. I tried it. Me personally, I prefer the GitHub because we were already pushing our code to Git and I already liked that ecosystem. So I'm using the GitHub.
I'm looking to start coding stuff from scratch. First of all, I want to test out, build a game in 3 minutes.
I think Cursor will be more user-friendly for that.
I want to create stuff for my clients and say, boom, it's done. Build an app in 5 minutes. It can be done.
If you want to build an app and have it working, not handling yourself the mechanics, then you need to use something like Replit.com or Lovable.
Okay, but it'll be the first phase is Cursor, right? To write the code, then you go to something else.
Cursor is, but then you have to mingle around with technology to host that application. It will develop the application, but then you have to host it yourself somewhere. But there are other models, other tools like Replit and Lovable. You can chat and develop the app and they host it immediately for you and it's ready to go. They set up the server, everything, the database.
But they write the code to put it together.
Yes. They write the code, the front end, the back end. They create the environment.
But how important is it for me as a digital agency now trying to go to a higher level to learn GitHub and Cursor and all those?
The learning curve is with GitHub Copilot, you already need to have some basics of programming. Cursor, you need also some basics. But Lovable and Replit, you don't really need basics.
So what basics do you need with Cursor?
With Cursor, there are a few things that you need to set up in Cursor, but it's not that complicated. What I like about the Cursor community is that it is very thriving and they produce a lot of content. So you can find anything, how to do this marketing, Facebook marketing app with Cursor, how to do this with Cursor. So you will find a lot of content. And if you can put those hours, I think you can create something very nice.
All right. You know what? It's big things coming. Big things coming for sure. So where should our listeners go to? RTILA.com. What's new with RTILA, first of all? Anything else new? When are you launching this? Because I'm waiting.
Yes, we're launching the new version 8, which is completely integrated with AI. We use AI inside to help us build our automations. It's a little bit taking more time because we had to change the whole tech stack. You know what I was telling you? Researching the tech stack. We changed the whole tech stack. So we believe that by the end of this month, we're going to release it in beta for people to start to develop their own automations using prompting, language prompting.
Fantastic. Big things in the works. RTILA.com. So give it a couple weeks then.
Yes, exactly.
All right. That was a special simulcast of the Neil Haley Show on the RTILA Podcast, guys.